Welcome to Clippers Live postgame presented by Hyundai on FanDuel Sports Network. It got scary down the stretch, but Kawhi Leonard makes sure Clippers fans leave with a treat and not a trick. 126-124 Clippers over the Pelicans on Halloween here at Intuit Dome as the Clippers open group play for the NBA Cup with a win. Came down to the final second. Stan Verrett, Jim Jackson here. Whew, that was close. Sometimes it's just good to have Kawhi Leonard.
It really is. I mean, but, down the stretch, it was one of those things where we talked about this in the pregame that this was going to be a scrappy New Orleans team trying to figure out ways to win a game because they were 0-4. They weren't going to give up.
No.
And you got to figure out a way to just kind of quiet the noise, and they fought back. But having a Kawhi Leonard at the end of the game, it gives you a slightly great advantage, I would think, Sam.
I didn't know which one it was going to be, but I said, okay, 9 seconds ago, it's either Harden or Kawhi.
Right, of course.
And the fans are going home happy tonight.
But I tell you what, Derrick Jones Jr. did an excellent job of not forcing the situation.
Yep.
They denied Kawhi half court. They denied James Harden in the backcourt, but he pushed the ball up, and he sought out Kawhi Leonard with enough time on the clock so Kawhi could just do his thing.
Yeah, little dicey there at the end. The Clippers turned it over, and Zion Williamson just kept driving to the basket over and over and over again. There's a turnover, so the Pelicans get it. And Zion Williamson he said, I'm going to the basket. Every time I get it, I'm going to the basket. He got fouled, made his free throws. And then Kawhi Leonard saying good night. Another look at it. As Kawhi Leonard at the buzzer, no doubt about it, got it off clean. And the Clippers with a 2-point win to open NBA Cup group play tonight. Kawhi Leonard with 34 points in this game. And I tell you what, second half, he took over the game. Whenever they needed buckets in the second half, he got them.
He did, but I tell you what, at the beginning of this game, Kawhi started off really active. He had 5 early steals. He had deflections. His energy was a lot better. And as a result, his offense kind of reflected that.
Yep.
Shots start falling in early for him. And that continued in particular in that third quarter where I think he had 12 to 14 points in that third quarter. So Kawhi, I thought when he plays with energy, it's amazing how the rest of the team kind of follows that. And John Collins, I'm going to tell you what, we may not mention his name in these highlights.
Yeah, he brought some energy.
But he was like maybe the MVP second of this game because he kept a lot of possessions alive. But when your two best players come out ready to play, especially on the defensive end, everybody else kind of rallies around that. And, of course, the proper ending is Kawhi walking off with that game winner.
34.6 steals. You saw 26 in the second half when the Pelicans just kept scrapping. Williamson going to the basket, Jordan Poole hitting threes. They just wouldn't go away until Kawhi said goodnight.
I tell you what's going to be interesting to see kind of where New Orleans goes from this game on, because they've been in games and situations where they've been there in the fourth quarter, but then they let leads kind of get away, and then these runs take place where it's maybe a 23-8 run, and they get deflated because of that loss. They didn't do that here. So they
got down 17, came all the way back.
So it could be a catalyst for them to kind of turn some things around. Maybe they found something. I'm glad it wasn't finding something in the result of a win, but it could catapult them a little bit more to maybe breaking that streak of not winning games, in particular on the road.
0-5 for now for the Pelicans. You mentioned John Collins, 9 points in the first half when he brought some energy off the bench when the Clippers needed it.
Well, he also, too, what he brought was energy, effort. He extended a lot of, I would say, possessions because of that. And a lot of times he's not going to get credit for a rebound, or a shot. But he kept possessions alive, and that's what you want. And I love the fact, Brian and I were talking about different roles. When he was in Atlanta, he was one of the cornerstones. He had to come in and score and be a leader. When he was in Utah, kind of very similar. They needed him to score the basketball. But here with the Clippers, it's to do all the little things. Run the break, be a lob threat, defensively guard 2 to 3, 4 positions. And then when you have a shot in the open corner, you knock it in. And I think he's really comfortable playing that role, and he's adding the energy that we need a lot of times, in particular on that second unit, and you saw that come to fruition, hence why the Clippers are able to walk out of here with a tough win, but a win all to itself.
Yeah, we talk about those extra points from guys outside of Kawhi and Harden, 14 of those points for John Collins tonight, but it's Kawhi Leonard who delivers the biggest blow, the game winner at the buzzer to give the Clippers a 2-point win. Coming up, we're going to hear from Ty Lue, get his thoughts as the Clippers knock off the Pelicans to begin group play for the NBA Cup.
You got more than me.
Hey, Kawhi Leonard had one job on this last possession, get a bucket. Mission accomplished. And the Clippers take it 126-124 over the Pelicans. Clippers get to 3-0 at home here at Intuit Dome and get off to a good start in group play for the NBA Cup. James Harden, up until that last possession, James Harden looked like he was the guy who had delivered for the Clippers tonight. 24 points, but more importantly, 14 assists. You know, and I thought they might try to find Harden for the shot because he had some heat check threes that he knocked down.
But you know, more importantly than that, we saw the assists and we saw the shots being made.
Yep.
His ability tonight to get by his initial defender, I thought was key.
Yep.
Why is that important? Because that allows James to get 2 feet in the paint, get by. Then once you help, because he's an excellent finisher at the rim, that's when that lob is available. So he had a different pep in his step.
Yep.
You know, and you can see that pay off. And the scoring, the assist, the rebound, a couple steals, the leadership, all those things. But I thought it was that burst of speed that really set the tone, I think, offensively for James Harden.
Yeah, because then he can read the defender.
That's right.
Decide if he wants to go to that step back three or try to get in the lane. And
we don't know how to guard him because if you're constantly on the side of James, he's going to use that big body to kind of initiate the contact and get that shot up.
Yeah, it's good to have two options in that situation.
Always
you know,
is.
with 9 seconds to go, you know there's two different options. Either one of them could be really effective.
No, they can't be. And it's tough for a defense because you really don't know who to take the ball out of which hands. Even if the night may not be as productive for either one, there's still a threat on the court.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's
get a bucket whenever you need it.
Get it whenever you need it.
56 points in the paint, and a lot of those points in the paint came from those Harden drives when people had to rotate on for it.
Well, keep in mind this. The Clippers, 47% of their baskets come in the paint this year, 50 points. Now, you're going up against a team in New Orleans that gives up 57 points a game in the paint. So everything was on par for the course in this game and almost to script. You got to do a good job. It's like being a prize fighter. Go to the body, go to the body, go to the body. As soon as you protect, now you hit them upstairs. So if you're able to dominate the paint, pound the paint, whether that's post-up, drive, second shots, you're going to hurt teams like that. And now that's going to open it up for open jump shots because you're just trying to protect the paint.
Ivica Zubac had 14 points. I believe all of them were in the first half when the Clippers ran the offense through him. That first quarter, he had 10 points, got him off to a good start.
Well, last year we saw a lot of this, too, at the beginning of the game, and I thought this was very critical for the Clippers offense, which is get Zoo the ball early, force them to have to look inside, have him be a threat, set the tone that they're going to be more physical. When you do that, that just opens it up for other opportunities.
All right, the Clippers 126-124 winners over the Pelicans to start group play for the NBA Cup and get to 3-0 at home. Let's listen in to Ty Lue in his post-game comments.
Ty, first off, kind of just your thoughts on how the game kind of came down the stretch and them tying it, and then obviously Kawhi at the end.
Yeah, you know, just some breakdowns defensively. You know, I thought Stack hurt us all night, you know, not be able to get back out to that shooter that was slipping out. They got a lot of threes off of that. And then, you know, we're aggressive defensively, so when guys are driving, we want to try to, you know, get in, create steals, and they took advantage of that as well. And then offensively, just, you know, taking care of the basketball, you know, not turn the ball over so they can get out in transition and get, you know, easy baskets, especially down the stretch, you know. And so we didn't do a good job with that.
Usually you have James play the entire first quarter, and then Kawhi starts the second with the bench. You kind of reverse course tonight. Like, what was your thinking behind that, and kind of how did you assess how that all went?
I thought it went well. Just switching those two, and just, you know, I think if teams are going to switch 1 through 5, and, you know, James, as far as ISO and be able to attack and make plays for other people if they're going to switch, we thought would be, you know, better for us, which it was. And so just got to go back and just look at the breakdowns, you know, when we got up 17, just how, you know, we didn't execute offensively, and then defensively we didn't execute as well.
Coach, what would you kind of take from this game as well as y'all won the game, but what would you take as far as what y'all need to work on going to the next game?
Just running through the tape, you know, just finishing the game the right way. You know, you're going to miss or make shots, but I think, defensively, like we got to make sure that we understand what we're doing. When JVG is giving the coverages, understanding what we're supposed to do and execute the game plan. And tonight, defensively, so I don't think we did a good job with that, especially in the fourth quarter.
So you don't have timeouts for that last possession when Zion's at the free throw line tying it. How do you communicate to your team, like, what would you want to do, or do you just have the players on the floor kind of figure it out?
No, knew if they scored, we had to get it in quick and, try to attack with 9 seconds. But we didn't want James taking the ball out. We wanted him or Kawhi being the one receiving it. But he took it out. And I thought DJ did a great job of just pushing the ball up the court. And he could have attacked, but got it to Kawhi. Kawhi made a huge shot.
Ty, we saw right here in the back. John played a pretty big role for you guys. John Collins off the bench today. Just what's the kind of mixing and matching and trying to figure out who works best with who and how the game flow is kind of going? What's that just process been like through 5 games now?
Yeah, like I said, JC, just his energy has been great, and so like I said, while he's trying to learn offensively what we're trying to do and defensively as well, but just his energy every night I think is really good. And then trying to, had to call 2 timeouts in the first quarter just so we can try to get our rotations right, but trying to get CP in there a little earlier so we can play with Zoo. So teams won't switch 1 through 5 with him and Brooks pick and rolls to try to change it up. And I thought it went well. I just got to, look at the game and see where it went wrong. But, overall, I thought just those, with James playing with Brooke and CP playing with Zoo, I thought was a pretty decent combination.
And Brad, 21 minutes tonight. I think he had that 5-point stretch with a transition layup and a 3-pointer. Just what did you see out of him, and how did he kind of come out of that game?
He came out feeling good, and just, like I said, just getting back into rhythm, getting his conditioning up. And then, like I said, we're going to wait on you. Like, you don't have to, try to make it all up in one day. And, he's frustrated with himself, but, it's going to be okay, And so, but I thought he did a good job. I thought his movements was pretty good, but I just thought, like I said, he was pretty tired that first stretch when he was in the game in that first quarter.
So the Clippers off to a good start in group play for the NBA Cup. The Clippers in Group B in the West. And they are currently in second place. 2-point win for the Clippers. Point differential matters. Yep. The Lakers with a 5-point win over the Grizzlies. So they occupy the first spot in West Group B right now. But the Clippers take care of business on the court with a game winner from Kawhi Leonard. With Jim, I think from what I heard from Ty Lue was, hey, look, happy with the win, but not happy with having a 17-point lead and letting them get back into this game.
No, you run through the tape, but you go back and you break down the tape and you say, okay, how did they get back in the game? Was it them just making shot, or was it our miscues that allowed them to take advantage of that opportunity to get back in? But I will tell you this, listen, this is the second time in 5 games that the Clippers have been able to get more field goal attempts up than their opponent. Why? Okay. This time, turnovers. Mm-hmm. Only 12 turnovers, 15 compared to New Orleans. So that's +3 in that category, which means now you're able to have some more possessions. So when you're a team that doesn't play with a lot of pace, you want to control the possession game. They were able to do that this evening and eke out of here with a win. I don't care if it's 1 point, 2 point, 3, whatever it is. You won the game, but you controlled the turnovers, which allowed you to get more shots at the rim, not allowing your opponent to dominate that category.
What about guarding the 3-point line?
Well, you got to understand something, Stan. Coming into tonight's game, it was New Orleans was struggling from 3.
Right.
Their players were struggling from 3.
Yeah.
So it was not allowed them to drive the basketball to get the ball inside the key. So your closeouts were a little bit shorter. They weren't body to body.
Right.
The rotations were over. It's like if they're going to beat us from 3 early, they're going to shoot over the top. We're going to make our adjustments from there. Now, the challenge with that, when you have a young team and they start getting hot, it makes it tougher. But going into the game, you weren't as worried about the 3-point line with this particular team because they weren't shooting the ball well coming into the game.
18 to 37 from 3 for the Pelicans tonight. So they found it tonight. But hey, all that matters, like you said, get the win.
Get the win, baby.
And Kawhi Leonard made sure the Clippers did that with his game winner. We got more to come on Clippers Live post game. Kawhi Leonard sending the Halloween crowd home happy tonight as the Clippers get to 3-0 here at Intuit Dome so far this season. Coming up on Monday, Norman Powell returns to Intuit Dome. He was a part of that trade that brought John Collins here to the Clippers. Powell and the Heat taking on the Clippers. 7:30 p.m. Clippers Live begins at 7 p.m. right here on FanDuel Sports Network. Great night tonight on Halloween. Fans came in their costumes, and they got a treat at the end. Got scary for a minute as the Pelicans took the Clippers right down to the wire. But when it was time to win the game, it was Kawhi Leonard with the last 2 of his 34. And the Clippers taking 126-124 over the Pelicans. We'll see you Monday night for the Heat and the Clippers. Good night from Intuit Dome.